Hi, welcome to Grammar Compass with Sir Victor. Let us master English language together. Kindly reach out to us via our social media handles on the screen.
The clause. In this lesson, we are going to demystify the concept of a clause, and then we will talk about the subject as a clause element. Let us get straight into the lesson. What is a clause? A clause is a group of words with a verb in its structure. So whenever you have a group of words and it contains a verb, then that group of words is a clause. Let us look at this example. I enjoy reading novels. We can say this is a clause. Why? Because it contains a verb. Although it was late, this is also a clause because it contains a verb. That I borrowed from the library. This is a clause because it contains the verb borrowed. When the sun sets. This is a clause because it contains a verb. That hard work leads to success. That hard work leads to success is a clause because it contains a verb. Who helped me with my project is also a clause because it contains a verb. We can conclude that the presence of a verb in a group of words makes it a clause. However, look at these sentences. A beautiful sunset. Do you have a verb? No. This is not a clause. It has no verb in it. After the meeting, is this a clause? No, it contains no verb. An interesting event, is this a clause? No. As quickly as possible, can you spot a verb? No, therefore it is not a clause. The house on the hill, do you see a verb? No, therefore we can't call this a clause. In great haste, is there a verb? No. Since there are no verbs in these groups of words, we cannot call them clauses. We will rather call them phrases. But these on the left-hand side are clauses because they contain verbs. Not all these clauses make sense. Some of them, they cannot stand on their own as a sentence. For example, although it was late, cannot stand on its own as a sentence. When the sun sets, cannot stand on its own as a sentence. But I enjoy reading novels is a complete sentence. Therefore, whenever you have a clause that makes sense and can stand on its own, we call it an independent clause or a simple sentence. Now that we know what clauses are, what are clause elements? These are the syntactic roles that words and phrases perform in explicit context. What we mean is that we put words together to form a sentence, and sometimes the words that we put together also form phrases, and the roles or the functions that the phrases perform is what we term as a clause element. So whenever we have a phrase, the function that it performs in the sentence is what we call a clause element. We have 5 clause elements. A phrase can function as a subject, so a subject is a clause element. A phrase can function as a verb, so the verb is a clause element. The phrase can also function as an object, so the object is a clause element. The phrase can also function as a complement, therefore a complement is a clause element. A phrase can also function as an adjunct, therefore an adjunct is a clause element. The roles that phrases perform in a sentence are what is termed as a clause element. Let us use these examples to explain what we are saying over here. In this sentence, the boy ran very quickly. We can see 3 phrases. We can see a noun phrase, the boy. We can see a verb phrase, run. And we can see an adverb phrase, very quickly, which is giving us information about how the action is performed. These three phrases are performing some syntactic roles, and the roles that they are performing are what we call clause elements. So what are the roles that these phrases are performing in the sentence? The boy that we saw over here, which was our noun phrase, is performing the function of the subject. So the boy is the subject in the sentence. Therefore, subject is a clause element because it is a function that the boy is playing. Run, which was our verb phrase, is performing the role of a verb. Therefore, verb is part of clause elements. Very quickly, the adverb phrase that we saw over here is performing the role of an adjunct. Adjunct is also a clause element. Another example, the young girl has become a doctor. The young girl is a noun phrase. Has become is our verb phrase. A doctor is our noun phrase, and they are performing some roles. What are their roles? The young girl is functioning as the subject. Has become, which is our verb phrase, is functioning as the verb. A doctor, which is also a noun phrase, is functioning as the complement. Therefore, we can say that subject, verb, complement, adjunct are clause elements because they are the roles that these phrases perform in a sentence. Let us have another example. The old man purchased a car. We see three phrases in the sentence. The first one, the old man, which is a noun phrase, is performing the role of a subject. Purchased, which is our verb phrase, is performing the role of a verb. A car, which is our noun phrase, is performing the role of an object. Therefore, subject, verb, and object are roles that these phrases perform. And the roles that the phrases perform are what we call clause elements. In the last sentence, we have during the event, which is a prepositional phrase, is performing the role of an adjunct because it is giving us information about time. Jones, which is our noun phrase, is performing the role of the subject. Felt, which is our verb phrase, is performing the role of a verb. Worried, which is our adjective phrase, is performing the role of a complement. In conclusion, clause elements are the roles that phrases perform in a sentence. How many clause elements did you count over here? In English, we have 5 clause elements, and they are the subject, the verb, the object, the complement, and the adjunct. And they are usually represented with a capital S for subject, a capital V for a verb, a capital O for object, capital C for complement, and capital A for adjunct. Now that we know the 5 clause elements, in the next lesson, we will talk about the subject as a clause element. See you in the next video.